want to talk to my men today about being proactive with our documentation. You know what I'm saying? That means, hey, you signing a contract, making sure that you read everything that you need to read. You know, you writing paperwork, you making sure that you double checking it. You know what I'm saying? You making sure that you lining your finances up and taking the time to invest into yourself and to invest into the fundamental reading that comes with a lot of things in life, that come with a lot of steps in life generally. I know as more and more as the world's capability to comprehend declines, we tend to skip over the confidentiality agreement. You know what I'm saying? The little writing, even though the little writing is what often causes us to end up in situations that it's hard for us to get out of. You know what I'm saying? So let's start with things like your finances. You know, making sure that you're writing out these finances, and when you open bank accounts, making sure that you're reading the agreements that you're agreeing to when you open these bank accounts. You don't know what fees are going to hit you when anything happens on the account. You don't know what fees, if you have a ATM withdrawal, if you drop below zero. Excuse me. These are all things that you need to consider. How is it going to work when you deposit a check that's over $2,000? You know, these are small things that we often miss when we're opening a bank account and choosing a regular bank like a Bank of America or like a credit union. You know what I'm saying? So you have to keep in mind of why you're opening a bank account, and keep in mind who you're opening a bank account with, and, you know, make sure you read that fine print and read that documentation, you know. And you also want to make sure that you're planning your finances the correct way. You're writing these things down. It can be documented electronically, but when you write it down as well, it also helps. It goes a far way. So we want to make sure that we're doing both of these things. We want to make sure that we're taking the time to say, okay, I've wrote out maybe my monthly expenses, and I also need to check, hey, I got this, I'm paying for these subscriptions, or I'm paying for this car note, or I'm paying for this rent, and I need to look into these agreements that I'm signing myself with, right? Let's go next. Let's go to your car, right? We all sign these leasing agreements when we get these car notes, right? Excuse me for my stuttering. Y'all know I stumble over the words a little bit. But when we sign up for these cars and we start paying these notes, we just think, okay, I'm just paying a note and that's it. I'm just paying a note. I'm just paying a note. That's not all that goes with it. You just signed a contract that you'll be paying this note for X amount of years. You know what I'm saying? Or did you sign to lease it? Are you signing to buy the car? What happens if you don't make a payment? What happens next? What happens if you're short? What happens if, you know, what are your options? What can you do? What happens when the car crashes? You know what I'm saying? Or what happens when somebody hits the car? You know, obviously that speaks insurance. You need to check on your insurance agreements. Check on everything that goes into when you pick your insurance. Is it Progressive, State Farm, Allstate? Okay, what's their fine printing on their liability coverage, you know, on their limited liability, you know, on the full coverage. You know, you got to make sure that you're getting in depth onto what you're agreeing to, because in the long run, if it doesn't hurt you in the short run, in the long run, you never know what's going to happen. So you want to make sure that you're able to be a little bit flexible, or at least know what you want if you're going to agree to something long term, and be able to stick with that. So another thing is your rent, man. This is very important, because when you're ready to move out somewhere or make another step in your life, and you want to go ahead and do it, but you're not aware of the terms of the contract because you didn't look into these things. So you want to make sure that when you first are looking for a place to live, apartment, a house, you know what I'm saying, you want to make sure that you're looking at the terms in that contract, especially, like I said, if it's a lease. You know, you going in there and you checking the property out, and you just thinking about, okay, does the property have all the amenities I need? Am I getting, you know, the washer and dryer? Am I getting a comfortable place to live? You know, do I have to pay this? Do I have to pay that? But now you want to make sure that when you look at your agreements and in that documentation, that those things are also in order as well, to make sure that, hey, you're not at fault for things that other people may have done, or that you're not at fault for, you know what I'm saying, things that you shouldn't be at fault for. And so that you can be prepared to say, if you want to make the next step in your life, that you'll be able to. So keep in mind of these things. You want to make sure that you can stay on your toes with reading paperwork. Take the time out to reading paperwork. You got to start putting it in your head. Hey, it doesn't take anything but maybe 10 minutes of my time, 10, 15 minutes of my time. And you've spent hours scrolling on your phone before. You could take 10, 15, 20 minutes to read some paperwork that's going to heavily affect your life. You know, it's very important. It's very important, you know. So, yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know, man. Make sure that you're reading your documentation. Make sure you're staying up on it. And that goes really with any and everything that you're dealing with. You go to school, you got these classes, you know. It's things in between there that need to be understood. Like when I was in school, my academic advisor had me taking the wrong classes. You know what I'm saying? Because he didn't read over the literature the correct way. Because he didn't make sure I was taking the right stuff when my majors had switched. Because that's his job as an academic advisor, to be aware of what I'm supposed to take and what I'm not supposed to take. That's going to be credited to my degree. You know what I'm saying? So things like that. And, you know, I took fault of it as well, that, hey, maybe if I read into the documentation more clearly, that I would have been on top of it and could have corrected him. So it's a strength in being able to stop and read these things, stop and take time to research more into it and try to understand it a little bit better. It takes you a long way. It's very beneficial for you. So you want to make sure that y'all getting in tune with that. You know what I'm saying? It goes a long way. It even goes as far as to the things that you eating and putting in your body, reading the labels and actually reading, okay, maybe if you read the label for once, you might not even put it in your body no more. You know what I'm saying? If you're that type of person, which you should be, because we putting a lot of terrible things in our body these days, man. We got to tighten up. You already know what them vibes is, but yeah, I definitely wanted to lay this one on y'all for the day. I hope everyone's staying safe, staying great. You know the place, Brain Cycle. Peace.